Hi, Simo.
Hey, Julian.
Thank you for accepting my invitation for this interview. It started with your post on LinkedIn, which was about spatial reminder. And I have to say, I have a high interest into spatial coaching, which I think is going to be the next thing. You definitely surprised me with the fact that you did that by yourself, mostly, if I got it right.
Yeah.
So my friend Jivan and I, we were like, how that's possible? We need to ask Simon. Here we are.
Thank you for inviting me. I always love talking about VR and AR, and maybe to just give some context here, what spatial reminders is. So that is a project I've been working on for the past 8 months. It's right now it's a reminders app for the Apple Vision Pro. In the future, it's going to be a little more than that, but right now it's a reminders app. And the way that I got there to think about spatial computing and to think about VR and AR is something that I want to get into, was always coming from a passion for VR. Like I have the first Oculus Quest right next to me, and I was always very interested in it. And then I heard Apple is like going into that space, which was, I think the rumors started 2020, like it was a while ago, and I was surprised. It didn't seem like something that Apple would be getting into, so I was a little intrigued. And when they announced the project, when they announced the Vision Pro last year on their developer conference, I immediately starting on getting into that space, reading all the documentation that they have, and just trying to build something. So in the beginning, I was dabbling around with their frameworks. I was trying a weather app. I was trying like a chess app, something like that. But then I thought about, okay, what am I actually using in my day-to-day life, and what do I think could be really great in spatial computing? And because I have a background in like production and like working with tasks, managing tasks, and all of that, I was thinking, okay, I will try something that goes into that direction. And that's when I started to build out spatial reminders with the concept in mind of having software that you can place in your physical space and basically blend the digital and the physical work together. Because when I think about my tasks, I arrange them in my mind differently. Like I have my work on one side and my private things on the other side. And I wanted to do something similar on that platform, on the Vision Pro.
Wow. So let's do the conversation the German way, meaning let's start with the beginning so we can understand the end. It's who are you? And how did you end up working in the VFX industry and then building up an app on the newest platform, the most interesting platform at the moment?
So I think I was always interested in technology. I was interested in technology and the creative ways that you could use technology to build something. And when I was 13 years old, I started to like look into visual effects as kind of a hobby. So I was downloading all the software and trying out what you can do with that. And then at one point, I realized that people do that for a living. Like when you're a little kid, you don't think about that. But then one day you start to think, oh, there's so many names in those movie credits. So that means there are people doing that for a living. And I was intrigued by that. I was like, okay, how can I get there? How can I do that? That seems like a lot of fun. And then I found a university that offered something with 3D animation. I was like, okay, that sounds like a right thing. And in that university, I met someone who was working at a visual effects company, and through him, I kind of got into the space and started to actually start working in that industry. And to this day, it's sometimes crazy to me that now I'm also working on movies and being in that space. So that's where it was coming from, and that's also where we met, because that company where I started, that's where our paths crossed.
Yeah, and right away I got your energy. You're really like I don't know how to describe, but forward thinking, like like oh, I don't know, bright energy. Like that's the best way I can describe it. So it kind of makes sense that you're exploring and that you're diving into other projects on top of what you're doing. You have really like that bright eye that looking at stuff. So I'm just wondering, when you when did you realize that it could be possible for you to do it on this new platform that nobody knows about yet, most of us?
Right. Right. Yeah. I was looking at the Vision Pro very early when it was still just rumors, when they were thinking about, okay, Apple seems like they're going to release a VR headset. So I thought about, okay, that's very interesting, because when Apple comes into a new market, usually they disrupt it and they bring way more people into that space. So I always liked VR and AR, but it was never a thing in its current state that I thought, okay, that's ready for mass adoption. But when
Hmm.
Apple does something, it kind of brings in a bigger audience. So I was thinking, okay, now would be a great time to just see what they're doing. And then when they announced it, I was pretty intrigued. Like, it was the highest quality headset that you can get. It was all the new technology, just everything, the state of the art that you can get right now, all put into this mini computer that you wear in your face. And I was like, okay, that sounds amazing. I just want to see what can I do for that platform. And I started it
Hmm.
like not knowing where I want to go with it. And then I just spent more and more time. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm spending all of that time just trying to figure out what that platform is. I might as
Hmm.
well use it and build something with it.
Did you had any programming background? Because I know you from the VFX world, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I had some basic knowledge. Like, we had programming at school, and then I had a little bit of programming at university. And I used it a little bit to, like, during my day, some to just improve some workflows that I was doing, like writing small scripts to automate certain things, but not to the extent that I would know how an app works. So when I got into the developing, one tool that helped me a lot was AI. Like, I used a lot of AI
Mm.
to get started, like to write a first draft of code, and then I would do my own research and I would build on top of that. But it was like a Kickstarter, actually. It was like a tool that I could use to get something off the ground that
Hmm.
has the basic functionality that I need, and then I can take my own input and build upon that. So it's an amazing tool.
For those that are developer, which I'm not, which kind of language, environment, coding software are you using, or you were start to
Yeah.
use?
So Apple has their own proprietary language to write apps, which is called Swift. It is similar to other languages, but it's its own Apple thing, and they have all their frameworks in that language. They also do have their own software, which is called Xcode, to develop on. And one of the great things that with that platform was that before I even had the headset, you had like a simulator that you can
Mm.
use to simulate how the experience with the glasses would be.
Got
So
it.
that was very helpful in iterating different versions and working with that. It's very interactive. It's a little bit, if you think in visual effects, about real-time rendering, and you see
Mm.
new technology where you can change something and you immediately see how that change is going to affect the output.
Yeah.
That's how it was programming, developing for the Vision Pro. It was really amazing.
Oh wow, yeah, and I think that's exactly the direction where VFX houses are going, because they want more interactivity. They, depending also which kind of output you have, if it episodic or blockbuster. But I guess for episodic, and because we can name it, Scanline is really linked to Netflix now. There is that intention to really be more effective, more efficient, and deliver high quality with faster turnaround. So I guess it
Right.
relates directly to this.
Right. I think it's always about improving, increasing the iteration speed, just building something, seeing it, and then changing it. because that's the creative process. Like you do something, you look at it, and then you change it.
And how about the headset itself? Because the moment you accepted the invitation for the conversation, I rushed to the Apple store,
Did you try
the
it? Did
closest
you
I
try it?
found. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on it?
yeah, you can book maybe for, not sure if it's the same thing in every country, but at the moment in most of the country in Europe, you can book a half an hour demo with the headset and for free, and you have someone at guiding you through the experience. And so I was really skeptical about it because I was I had like the Facebook early version. I was,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's a good gadget, it's funny, but it's basically having a cell phone in front of you, right? With that one, I was blown away. I think my wife was making fun of me every time. I was like, incredible, incredible, incredible. I was really like a child, honestly, and really quickly. And I guess that's also maybe where this thing's gonna go next. Is you were feeling a little bit alone within the environment, because it's like you almost feel like a millionaire in the best environment possible. It's all really super slick. The eye, looking at something and something react to it. This is just amazing. But then you're like, where are other people? I want to interact with others, right? So
yeah,
not sure how much that's something. Maybe I'm already discussing the next step, but I was really impressed by the integration in the real world. So having a reminder in a place where you look at it, it's, oh yeah, yeah. So it's not only something you take out of a pocket and you look at it, but now you're looking at it, and you can project ourselves in the future where most likely we're going to have that in maybe a even more compact version. Um, because I have to say that the weight was a bit difficult to handle long
yeah,
term. It was okay, but yeah, I maybe don't see myself working 8 hours with it or even more yet.
yeah, yeah. I think there are a couple of things here. So what you said about the loneliness and being in a headset and feeling isolated, I think that's one of the areas that there's going to be more work to be done. Right now, when you put on the Vision Pro and when you own it and you scan your face, what it will do, it will show your eyes on the outside. So if your
Mm.
wife looks at you, she sees your eyes, like you can have eye contact. And it sounds very gimmicky, and
Yeah,
it does look a little gimmicky, but from my experience, it actually helps with holding a conversation while you're still in the headphones. It's a little bit
yeah.
like when you wear AirPods and you put them on
Hmm.
transparency mode and you're talking to someone. At the beginning, it's maybe strange because why is a person having AirPods in their ear while they're talking
Yeah,
to me? But you get used to it, and then you glance over it. But ultimately, I think that has to improve where it just has to feel a little bit more personal. And maybe we
yeah,
get used to it with future versions where it gets smaller, where that is a little bit more matured.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
for collaboration, what you can do right now is you can do FaceTime calls, and in those FaceTime
Hmm.
calls, you see the other person not on a 2D screen, but you see them as a 3D representation. So they have their digital avatar that they scan in with their face. So you scan your face, and you
Hmm.
get your 3D persona, and
Oh yeah,
that's what you then see in FaceTime. So that's already pretty good. Like you are talking to a person and you have a 3D person in front of you, and I would say
yeah,
it's not like the real thing, but it's closer maybe than a regular 2D FaceTime call. So it's somewhere in between there.
yeah.
In the future, the quality is probably going to improve, is going to get better, and all of that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I mentioned that because I'm so enthusiastic by the quality, but because
yeah,
I was so blown away by it, and a simple thing by having a computer screen,
yeah,
um, it was the quality. The quality of the
yeah,
image was really like, honestly, especially with a calm background, I can really look at colors and how it looks. It was really good. I was really blown away by the quality. You can definitely have a computer screen within the environment and work on it. I guess that's not the point long term. Why having a 2D flat screen in a 3D environment while you can have, spatial reminder here and there and moving. And I guess it adds a notion of memory, a spatial memory.
Yeah.
And that's what Jivan is talking a lot, which is my friend, which is really about training AI to. He's currently building a language, a visual language for AI, to help humans to place themselves, let's say, in the best next step for them. So it's almost personal growth, empowered by AI through visual crew in a spatial environment. And so every time I come to him with something like we're discussing like coaching topic, he comes with, but if you place yourself that way, and if you look at that this way, and it's like, oh man, that's so good, because basically he put in space problem that you can have in language, which is still difficult for me to grasp because it's almost like a new language that we're not using. And I'm wondering if with your test and initial feedback maybe from users, what did you got out of it? Because there is some kind of obviously you can use the app right away. You can use it. I can see myself every morning having the headset to start my day and connecting with the reminder, looking at the reminder where they are. But how do you see that going in the future even more integrated?
Yeah. So what I really think is what spatial computing allows you is to have the workspace that works for you. So the way that spatial reminders is built, that the whole app is architectured in a way that each of the elements are modular. So that means when I'm working on let's say I do some research, maybe all I need from the app is the little input field that I use to dump my thoughts and to put in reminders, but not actually look at them. So what you can do, you just look at the one thing that you need and you drag and drop it out of the window and you place it wherever you need it. So the way that apps are changing in spatial computing is that you're not constrained anymore to just one window or one screen, but you can pick and choose the elements of the app that you need whenever you need them. So what I'm doing when I work, I put on the headset, I have my big screen in front of me, and then I'm working on one particular project. So I take one of the folders out of the app and I place it next to my screen. So I have it right there and I can glance over and I can see it and I have everything the way I need it. And then later I might be working on a different project and I put that one to the other side of the screen. So I have my screen in the middle, and on the one side I have one project, on the other side I have another project, but none of them are overlapping my screen that I work on. So suddenly your whole world becomes your canvas because you're not constrained anymore to having one window open or several small windows open to fit all on your screen. You can just put them wherever you need them, and they don't block what you need to focus on. And I think that's one of the areas that are really enabled by spatial computing, is just to make a workspace that can be extended and focused on to whatever it is that you need in that moment.
And does that have a memory? Meaning each session when you come back, the element are the same place? And if yes, how far the memory is going into your flat?
Yeah, so there is a memory. When you put it back on, the reminders stay where you put them. The only one constraint at the moment is that for that to work, the headset has to stay in standby mode. So when you put it off, it goes into standby mode and it will stay in that mode as long as the battery lasts. So as long as it's been only in standby mode, you put it on again and everything stays where you've put it, basically.
Got it. So yeah, awareness of his own position.
It
The
has,
headset.
yeah. It's very interesting. So the way it does it, the way I understood it, it maps your room. So it does a 3D mapping of your room, and then
Hmm.
when you put it on again, it compares your room with all the rooms it has saved, and
Mm,
then brings them together. So it has like a database of like different rooms that it can load.
got it. Got it. Yeah. For now, it's more of a device that you keep in the same place and you use like almost like a Mac, a desktop Mac.
Yeah.
Let's say it's not a mobile device.
You can walk around with it, and what is really cool with it that I can take it with me, and I can bring it to a cafe and work
Hmm.
there. And
Ah,
instead of
yeah.
having the little laptop, I have the huge screen in front of me. It's pretty
Yeah.
good with that. Like it's mobile in a way, but what you don't use it for is like going out on the street. I wouldn't do that. I think
Yeah.
it's better to be stationary with it. Yeah.
And let's say you have reminder put in your um, office or your apartment, and then you take the headset and you go to a cafe because you want to have people around. Where are your reminders?
You can always bring them back to where you are. You
Okay.
can always just reopen the app and it's all there again. I think in the
Okay.
future it would be great to have more of a physical separation of, okay, I want to lock it right here and it should stay here forever. I think that would be a great
Yeah.
feature. Something that I was looking into right now. The platform doesn't allow you that much of control, but I think it's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
get there, and you'll have more tools to do something like that. The way I really use it right now is to build my works when I'm going somewhere, to build my workspace the way that I need it, and for the situations that I need it. And there are different things that you can do with it right now. I'm working on integrating AI into the app,
Okay.
and with doing that, there are always constraints because I really want to keep the experience with a no subscription model, so that you just
Hmm.
pay it's a one-time purchase and you own it.
Hmm.
And it can be very difficult with AI because most of the services are with another provider.
Hmm.
But what I've found now, or what I got to work, was a local AI model running on the glasses, and
Ah,
that's
yeah.
pretty amazing. Like you can have your AI and everything runs on the headset. There's no connection to the cloud, and what you can
Mm.
do, you can have like an assistant that knows about all your tasks. So you can ask it a question, hey, what do you have to do next week? And it will
Yeah.
answer you based on the task that you added. So that's pretty cool.
Is it linked with the Apple Intelligence or is not related? It's another one.
It is not directly linked to Apple Intelligence. There's no framework that, as a developer, you can use their language model.
Mm.
But it is using Meta's Llama 3.2,
Llama.
so that's their
Yeah.
language. Yeah, that's their language model. And they have a small version of that. They just released it um, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, mid of September, and
Okay.
that's what I'm using. I'm using on the glasses now.
Oh wow. Yeah. There is so much new question that your user base will ask that regular software developer on screens will never have to think about. So it's almost like you're maybe exactly at the right spot right now to develop that because you're in the right place. Because the good thing is that you don't have the how to say that um, the bias from a really experienced
Mm,
developers that could say, "Oh no, usually we do that this way." But
mm.
you could start to do something a way that an experienced developer would not do. But actually, it's better if you're not doing it the old way. You're creating your own way to because it's a completely different way to think about software, right?
I really think it is, and there are no, like you say, there are no established rules at the moment. Like it's a new platform, and there are some recommendations, but in the end,
Yeah,
everything does whatever they think is best, and it
yeah.
will in the future it will be more clear what makes sense and what doesn't. But right now, it's a very vibrant community of people trying new things and seeing how that can work on the glasses, and I think it's a very it's like early iPhone days where developers are putting
Yeah.
out apps just to try out what you can do with it. And the apps that you had back then are very different to what you have now. So there's
Yeah.
some development. There will be development with Vision Pro, and I think right now it's a good moment to be in there to take in all of the conversations that are happening.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I remember the first app for iPhone, they were trying to replicate the leather or, some materials in order to make it look like more what we have before with a fancy something. And then they were like, why are we doing that? It's
Yeah,
completely different. So maybe that's going to be the same thing, right? We start to mimic a regular computer, but then at some point, why do we constrain ourselves into a flat plane and maybe just
yeah.
having module all the way, and even like 3D way to interact with it for spreadsheet. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Like right now, you're right. It's very constrained to 2D windows, and
Mm,
not right now. You start with using 2D windows, but putting them into your 3D space.
yeah,
But who says that it only has to be 3D windows? Like you can do so
yeah,
much with it. Like, I think there's definitely some fun to be have with that. Like
yeah,
I was thinking about reminders that maybe when they go off, it's a little alarm that like a 3D alarm in your space or something
yeah,
that you never know. Like there are so many things that you could do with it that I think it's a very interesting platform. Like you say,
yeah,
there are new ways to think about the whole idea of what is an app or what is software and how are we supposed to use software.
yeah. And you started with an app which is really about that. It's about, if you think about it, a reminder is something from the computer that remind you to do something in your real life.
Yep.
So it almost has the right connection, to start with, and
It's like why not put
like.
it right there? Yeah.
So I think it's the best way to start, the best place to start. But the headset is 4K, at least in
Yeah.
Europe. So personally, I think I'm gonna buy the next one, not this one,
Yeah.
because right now it would just be a super fancy screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I would not see exactly an added value right
Yeah.
away. Um, how did you, access one, and
Yeah.
what do you think about democratization of it, like having way more people having it?
Yeah. I think the way that Apple sees the first version is kind of their developer kit version. They don't call it that because they do want to appeal to everyone. But in
Hmm.
the end, it's developers and enthusiasts buying the device right now. And I think that's right. Like, it's
Hmm.
too expensive at the moment to recommend it to anyone. Like, I would not recommend anyone to buy it right now.
Hmm.
Like, I would, as you say, wait for the second version. Like, this is the pro version. I'm sure there's
Yeah,
going to be a non-pro version.
yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be versions that are less expensive and better. I think that it was the right approach to take to start with
Hmm.
this is all the technology that we have. We put it into one device, and even if it's very expensive, we put it out there
Yeah,
because that allows developers to
like
to
you.
build on to build on the cutting edge, to like use the best technology you have right now,
Yeah,
knowing that you are maybe not building an app for this particular device, but the next one or the one after that.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
that's how I thought about it. Like when I started the development, I was like, okay, I think that this platform is going to be huge. Maybe not this device right now, but the platform and
Hmm.
the operating system and all of that is really like it's you can see the vision there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No
literally,
pun intended.
exactly. So that was also how I justified it to myself. I was like, okay, this is very expensive, but I actually want to build something for it, and I'm going to use that to as a work. For me, it's a thing to work with.
Yeah, yeah. It's for you.
not a
It's
toy.
plenty.
Yeah, exactly. So I can justify that way, and I think that's how most of the people are buying it right now, either as an
Mm,
enthusiast or as a developer. And I think that's the right demographic right now. And I think in the future it's going to be huge. I think
mm,
because when people wear it, they always can
yeah,
see the vision. Like they always can see, yeah, what the potential. Like they see,
yeah,
okay, this is amazing. This blows my mind.
yeah,
There are just some constraints that like still have to be solved in terms of
yeah.
price, weight, and all of that. But there are very talented people working on those problems, so I'm
Right
confident
away.
it's gonna get there.
Yeah, yeah. Same for me. As I said, I was really skeptical, but then I experienced it. I was like, okay, I got it. All right, no worries. I know it's gonna work. It's like
Yeah,
even thinking about something. The sport demo was like it's the first time you
yeah,
can experience sport being in the field. Like that. Just because of that, I know it's gonna work. And the other thing was also because you can shoot 3D movie with your iPhone 15
yeah,
Pro now in 16 coming up. So that also is something I don't see that as a game changer, but I don't know, it just you have the sense of I don't know, it's closer to you and it's more real because they have that depth. So yeah, definitely a lot of
yeah.
good things here. What do you right now, because you first, really congratulations for having developing a real app that works,
Thank you.
which is on the Apple Store. Um, what's next for you? What do you need? Are you looking for partners? Just curious about the next step for you.
Yeah, so right now I'm really focusing on there are so many more features that I want to integrate. Like I'm starting with AI right now, but I think there's so many other products out there that could be part of spatial reminders. Like there are great calendars apps out there that could be part of this. There are so many different features that I think would make sense on a platform
Mhm.
like this. So I'm working on building those features right now. And then at the same time, I'm thinking about, okay, what would be another project that I could start with, and getting to a point where I'm just thinking about, okay, I see this platform, I see the potential of the platform. How can I maximize building knowledge about it, and how can I maximize being able to ship my ideas, to have an idea and being
Yeah,
able to make a working product out of that. I already see that there's some things where I'm gonna need help with, especially with things like marketing and all of that. Like
yeah,
that's something where I would rather focus my time on continuing developing the app, but at the same
yeah.
time, like you want to have people you want to have feedback, you want to have users, so you gotta bring people in so the app can get better. And I can see how I would bring in another person just to help me with something like that.
Mm. And let's say I'm an enthusiast because just
Yeah,
because you said that, I think the reminder app would be used by all the people building apps for the Apple
yeah.
Vision. They're gonna use Spatial Reminder. That's your first clients actually. But let's say
Exactly.
I'm because we really want to have that. Let's say Jivan and I, we don't know anything about coding.
Yeah,
We really clear about what we want to see in the app. He already had shown me, he sent me like you can have object that you can open. He sent me through Telegram,
yeah,
and then I can open that, and it's I can see the object floating in my or tracked in my living room. Just like, yeah, but it's really annoying because you have that little windows instead of a VR. How long, let's say, if we both decide now, okay, we want to have a full app like Simon did from start to app available. Let's say for regular people that are a bit technical, let's say we still, he's a math painter, I was a comper, so we know a little bit about computer, but we're not necessarily coders. Because you did it, and for everybody that could have an idea, what would be your assessment about, okay, it would take up approximately that amount of time each day for that amount of months or whatever. Like just a rough estimation of
Right.
what you could take.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to assess because it's very dependent on the scope of the app. I would say to have a working app, like let's say a 2D working app within the Vision Pro that has some spatial features, without prior knowledge, I think it needs a couple of months just to get into the flow. The way it worked for me is like I had a working prototype after 2 months, but
Mm-hmm.
then I had to scrap most of that and rewrite the whole thing because during the process you learn new things and you find better ways you find the right ways to do it or what you think are the right ways, and then you start from scratch, and that happens twice or three times where you're okay, I'm gonna rewrite the whole thing because I know more now and I can make it better. So I think after 2 months you can have a working prototype, but to get to a finished product, it takes a little longer than that. Just to you kind of want to get a feel for the platform, like
Yeah.
you want to try out different things, and you want to see how they then actually work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot. I think it's a lot of R&D just to like get familiar with everything. And there's so many. The very interesting thing is that the platform builds upon all the development that has happened for iOS and iPadOS. So
Yeah.
all the frameworks that are available on these platforms you can use in Vision OS. Like you can use
I
all the
see.
frameworks that were established before
Yeah.
and put it on glasses. And there's so many different ways that you could build an app that it really takes just a while to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Wow. To be honest, I'm really impressed by this. And because it's really, as you said, it's still the Wild West in a way that not necessarily about the framework and
Yeah,
the tool.
it is. Yeah,
It's somehow really clear how to do it, but how to make it work for people. That's another story, right? The user experience. This is completely new for everyone. So that's really really cool. Um, yeah, maybe we can finish by what would be, I'm just curious also, how do you plan your day? Because I think you're still in VFX. Do you plan to keep having an interest in VFX while developing on the side?
yeah,
Just
no,
not sure if
for
you.
yeah, right now for sure. Yeah. For now, absolutely. The way I structured it was I was working on spatial reminders on the weekends and after work or before work, put it in
Yeah,
there, and that was yeah, that was difficult at times because it was a lot of work, and doing it like besides work it's very hard. Like you yeah, it was long hours in the evening basically.
yeah. And VFX is not
In
like
the
oh yeah, it's a side job. I'm just doing my 8 hour and go home. No, no, no. You're already in a really demanding field initially, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It can be very very busy. But for me, the coding it was like relaxing at the
I
end of the
see.
day because I could sit down, be with my little app and just
Yeah,
code on for a couple of hours. So I think that was it kept me interested in it and
yeah,
what drove me to go the whole way. In the beginning, I didn't think about building an app. In the beginning, I was like, okay, I just want to have this hobby and
hmm,
do some stuff on it. But then when I put in so much time and I was okay, I'm using this and I think this is amazing and I really love using this. I
yeah,
was okay, let's go all the way and make it into a product, which
yeah,
then just requires a lot more polishing because you don't want to ship something that then just doesn't work.
yeah,
That was very difficult. You had to get some testers on it, had to get people who have the device who can give me feedback on how they're using the app and
yeah,
what may or may not work for them. And with those people, it became a much more clear of how the app should work and
yeah,
how apps on in spatial computing like can enable you to arrange your workspace in a way that really works for you and not the other way around.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's also how I learned better for coaching. It's really you know what coaching should bring to people. First, I have my idea based on my training and previous conversation. But then the more you ask, the better actually you fine tune what really makes sense for people, and you hit the nail, or how you say that, you really way more precise. So asking a question has so much value, like asking the right question. And I think that's also because moving forward with the YouTube video we're going to do, at the end of it, we're going to ask questions for people to ask themselves. Because I think that's the most powerful thing you can do to, coach yourself, actually. Right. So it's completely aligned with that.
Yeah, always be curious and ask yourself, why are you doing that? What is your reason behind it? It's always good to ask questions. And I had the same thing when I got the first user feedback. It was like, okay, finally another person is looking at this and sharing their perspective, and their perspective might not be the same as my perspective, and there's no right or wrong. Like I think it's just then up to me to make it work for as many people as possible. And
yeah, I think really you set yourself for success here, because first, it's a brand new platform. You're really being energized by doing it, which I think is the key here, because really I can say it, VFX can be drowning sometime when you work on a show, which is not necessarily, the best setup. And then you go home, you're like, oh no, let me just watch Netflix, right? But then you turn that, let me watch Netflix, into something a bit more constructive, even though I would not speak against Netflix, but you know what I mean? It's more like
Netflix right
here. Like passive. Instead of being passive, you're really creative, and it nourishes you also by doing it. And I think that's really the big key takeaway. Like, that's why I'm congratulating you. It's not necessarily about the output, the final output. It's about the process of doing that in the same time of having a day job. That is really impressive to me. It's like what Perry Kane, our head of Island Studio, which is really, really super interesting company, which investing a lot into spatial and all those stuff. He mentioned stay hungry, and for me, when he mentioned that, I was like, yeah, exactly that. Instead of being passive, do more. And I think you're a good incarnation of that, and really want to celebrate that.
Thank you, and I think you too. You're having a project on your end as well. Like I think it's always about finding something that you can be passionate about, and when you're passionate about it, it nourishes you. It gives you more energy than it takes.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Speaking of this, I will not take more of your energy. You're already really generous to be there with me. Just wondering if you plan to go to Hub Montreal October 21, because it's a lot about VR, and I worked for them for a year, and I was connecting with all those wonderful companies in Montreal that are building experience, whether in VR or public space and all that. I highly recommend for whoever is in Montreal to go there. It's 3 days, and hopefully to see you there, because I'm definitely going to be there. So,
yeah. I'll definitely try to come. It does really sound amazing, and in any case, I think when you're here in Montreal, we should grab a coffee together or a drink.
100%. I have way more questions, but I'm containing myself in order to keep it light.
We can do a part two. We can do a part two. Or I can
definitely.
Well, we can when we meet each other, I can show you the app, and we can do a part two.
Let's do that. All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Simon. That was really interesting.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Julian.
Take care.
Thank you for having me.